Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Curse of Oak Island. Gary Drayton on shows misleading editing. Fans who watch shows like The Curse of Oak Island often see things happening that confuse them. When it comes to the confusion, it is all about the editing of the show. While it is supposed to help tighten things up, Gary Drayton admits that it is misleading at times. Here is what happened when the team found some pottery that confused fans and what Gary said about it. Curse of Oak Island. Fans confused about pottery discovery. On the last episode of The Curse of Oak Island, Gary Drayton was out with his metal detector looking for treasure. What he found was some pottery that had the team excited. There was one problem. A metal detector finds metal. How did it locate the hidden pottery? That bugged fans chatting about the show on Reddit, and one fan started a thread asking how this was possible. The top response simply explained that the metal he detected wasn't shown in the episode. Instead, they showed the pottery he found while digging for the gold. This brought a lot of people into the conversation about how the show doesn't seem to show everything and edits things together in a confusing manner. Why would the episode emphasize that Gary was out with his metal detector and then show him finding pottery without an explanation? One Redditor wrote, "I think the show did a poor job at editing that scene and not explaining well enough what led them to the pottery find. They figured that whatever metal he found was insignificant and therefore not needed on the show. That still made the entire scene confusing." Gary Drayton chimes in on the editing of Curse of Oak Island. Another Redditor mentioned that Gary Drayton responded to the moment shown in the series. When someone asked about how a metal detector found the pottery, Gary said that it was the editing that made it so confusing. He emphasized that metal detectors can't detect pottery and instead it had found some metal bits. This is something that happens a lot in reality shows like The Curse of Oak Island. There was a similar moment in last week's episode of Gold Rush. In that episode, Tony Beats found a tusk belonging to a woolly mammoth from over 30,000 years ago. However, fans seemed confused at how he found it. The truth is that they found it while working in the field, but there were no cameras when it happened. As a result, they went back and refilmed the entire moment of discovering it to add to the series. On Curse of Oak Island, they had cameras on hand but edited out the metal found and cut straight to the pottery to speed things up. Gary Drayton, the seasoned metal detecting expert of The Curse of Oak Island, has long been a fan favorite. His infectious enthusiasm and uncanny knack for finding buried treasures have captivated audiences season after season. However, behind the scenes, Gary has recently opened up about a more challenging aspect of being part of the show: the misleading editing that often shapes the narrative of his discoveries and interactions on the island. In a candid interview, Gary shared his frustrations and insights into how the editing process can sometimes paint a distorted picture of the reality on Oak Island. "I love what I do and I love sharing my passion with the viewers," Gary began. "But there are times when the way things are cut and spliced together just doesn't reflect what actually happened." One of the most striking examples Gary pointed out was the way his finds are often portrayed. Viewers of The Curse of Oak Island are familiar with the dramatic build-up to each discovery, complete with suspenseful music and cliffhanger commercial breaks. Gary's eyes would light up as he recounted the thrill of unearthing a centuries-old artifact. "It's true that every find is exciting," he admitted, "but not every beep from my detector leads to something significant. The editing sometimes makes it seem like every piece of metal we dig up is the Holy Grail." Gary explained that in reality, metal detecting involves a lot of patience and persistence. For every amazing find, there are countless bits of junk we have to sift through: rusty nails, bottle caps, and other debris. That part rarely makes it to the screen because it doesn't make for good TV, but it's part of the process and it's important for people to understand that. Another aspect of the show that Gary feels is misleading is the portrayal of the team dynamics. "We have a great team, and we all respect each other immensely," he said. "But sometimes the editing creates unnecessary drama. They might cut from one person's frustrated comment to another person's unrelated reaction shot, and suddenly it looks like there's a conflict brewing when there really isn't. Gary's frustrations aren't just about the day-to-day depiction of the treasure hunt. He also feels that the show's editing can sometimes undermine the historical and archaeological significance of the island. Oak Island has a rich and complex history, he emphasized. We work closely with historians and archaeologists to understand the context of our finds, but the show often skips over that in favor of the more sensational moments. Despite these grievances, Gary remains passionate about his work and his role on the show. "I still believe in the mystery of Oak Island," he said with a determined smile. "There's so much we don't know, and every day we're uncovering new clues. It's just important for viewers to remember that what they see on TV is a condensed version of a much longer and more nuanced story." Gary's reflections on the editing process highlight a broader issue in reality television: the tension between creating engaging content and staying true to the realities of the subject matter. "I get it," Gary acknowledged. "The show needs to be entertaining, but I think there's a way to do that without sacrificing authenticity. The real story of Oak Island is fascinating enough without needing to be exaggerated." He also expressed his hope that future seasons of the show might strike a better balance. "We've had conversations with the producers about this," he revealed. "I think they're starting to see that viewers appreciate the real process, the highs and lows, the moments of triumph and the setbacks. That's what makes the journey worthwhile." In the meantime, Gary continues to approach his work with the same enthusiasm that first endeared him to fans. Whether he's uncovering a centuries-old coin or a rusty nail, his passion for the hunt remains undiminished. "At the end of the day, it's about the love of discovery," he said, "and I hope that despite the editing, that love still comes through to the audience." Gary's candid discussion about the show's editing sheds light on the complexities of producing reality television. It's a reminder that while the stories we see on screen can be thrilling and dramatic, the truth behind them is often more intricate and multifaceted. For Gary Drayton and the rest of the Oak Island team, the quest for answers continues, both on the island and in the editing room.